Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back. I'm Jeannie and I love Waterslide decals, but most of them are made on a transparent background, so in order to get them to show up, you have to use them on a white or a super light background. But sometimes I just don't feel like doing that, so in today's video, I'm going to show you how I use Waterslide decals against darker colors and I make it work to where you can see the decals. I've got the new Fall Bouquet collection from CN Designer Dips, and I feel like these are a really good transition into fall. If you're not quite ready to jump straight in, these are the perfect colors for that. So I'm going to use a couple of colors for today's mani. I had a hard time deciding what colors I wanted to use because they all pair so well together, but these are the three I decided to use, as well as I was feeling like sunflower vibes with these colors. So I pulled out my sunflower Waterslide decals. These ones are from Pampered Pretties. I wasn't sure which ones I wanted to use, so when I get my dip powder on my nails and I get ready to do the decals, I'll see which ones kind of fit better. Sometimes it takes me to see the actual mani on my fingers before I know what I want to do. And of course, I'll be using my CN Designer Dips dip liquids, and I finally got a new bottle of dip base. The first color I'm going to use is my only solid, so this is Honey Apple, and this color is actually the one that I fell in love with first when I saw the collection. So this is like a warm toned mauve color, and this is interesting because it kind of reminds me of like a jelly color, except it's not actually jelly. So I can get it opaque in my two dips, but it's kind of got like that jelly feel to it, if that makes sense, but it is so beautiful. I love this color. So I'm going to do this on my middle finger, my pinky, and my thumb, and it's going to be my normal dipping process. So I'm going to do 2 dips of color, and then I'm going to cap it in clear. I will do a little bit of an ombre on my middle finger, so I'm going to wait to cap these in clear just because I'm going to do that ombre, and I don't want to cap in clear and then do an ombre on top and cap it in clear again because that would be way too thick. If you've ever ordered from CN Designer Dips, you know that their 1/4 ounce jars are filled to the brim. So I wanted to dip in the jar, but I knew that if I dipped directly in the jar, I would spill powder everywhere. So I have my little flexible from Chaos Concepts that I sat my jar on top of, and so that's catching the spillage. I could have also poured over, but because it's kind of got like that jelly feel to the color, I wanted to make sure I got more coverage. So when you dip in the jar, you get better coverage than when you pour over, because pour over you get a thinner layer. So I wanted a little more coverage, which is why I'm dipping directly into the jar. I could have also just poured my entire jar of color into my little thing from Chaos Concepts and just laid my finger flat in, and that would have the same effect as dipping, but I was just being lazy. Isn't this color just so beautiful? And it's kind of a little nostalgic for me. Like, it kind of reminds me of when I was younger growing up in Illinois. Every fall, we used to go to the apple orchard and go apple picking. I loved doing that. Gosh, I don't think I've done it in, I don't even know how many years since I was young, so a really long time ago. And it makes me kind of crave like a hot apple cider, aside from the fact that it's like still 90 plus degrees outside, but it still just gives me like those feelings of like apple picking and apple cider and all that stuff that comes along with fall when we actually do get nice fall weather. I'm going to do a little bit of an ombre on my middle finger using Fall Bouquet. So I'm applying a layer of dip base to my nail, but it's not going to be my entire nail because I don't want the entire nail to be covered with Fall Bouquet. So I went just like a little past halfway point for my nail, and I'm just going to dip my eyeshadow brush into the powder, and then I'm going to tap that powder onto my nail. So I'm going heaviest closest to my cuticle line that's closest to my index finger, and then I'm slowly rotating my fingers so that the powders gently kind of fall and fade down towards the center of my nail, because I want it to look natural. Like, I don't want it to look like a color block. I just want it to kind of be a little more dense towards my cuticle line, my sidewall, and then fade towards the center of my nail. I do also end up doing just a little bit of glitter placement on my ombre on my middle finger, just because I want a couple more of the chunkier pieces, because those typically don't really fall when you're doing a tap ombre method. But I do that off camera because I've shown you my glitter placement before, and it's just a couple of pieces just to kind of even out the look. So I'm going to finish up with my second layer of Fall Bouquet on my index finger. So I'm applying a full layer of dip base. I've got my Fall Bouquet powder in my Chaos Concepts container, and so I shook it a little bit just to bring all the glitters and the foils to the top. And then I turned my finger upside down and I laid it flat in, and that's going to pick up the most amount of the other pieces, so the glitters and the foils. Now the next color I'm working on, it is so pretty, I just had to use it. So this is Velvet Sunflower, and this is what I speak about when I talk about the CNDD shimmers. This is a heavy shimmer, and it is just so beautiful. Just look at that coverage I got in one dip. I end up doing two anyway, but you really don't need to because it is full coverage just because of the shimmer in here. I'm going to finish up my second dip of this, cap everything in clear, activate, file, and buff off camera, and then I'll be back to show you how I do my Waterslide decals. And here's how it's looking after I finish filing buffing. And for the Waterslide decals, I couldn't decide, so I'm going to use two different sheets because why not mix and match? So per my normal process, I'm going to cut out the decal I want as close to the design as possible, but it doesn't have to be exact, obviously. But I'm going to go ahead and get that ready and cut out the designs I want. So on my Velvet Sunflower nail, I'm going to use these red sunflowers because I figured that would be a nice contrast against the yellow. And then these gnomes were just so cute. I think they're like fall gnomes. So I decided I'm going to use this one and put it on my thumb because it was just so cute, and it kind of had that, it has little sunflowers and the yellow. So that's going to go on my thumb, and that's going to go really good, I think, against the red that's on my thumb. Most Waterslide decals are on a transparent background. You can get, there's some companies that do them against a white background to where you can put them on any color, but when you have your typical normal Waterslide decals on a transparent background, they need to be on a white or super light background or else the design won't show up. So I'm going to show you how I do it on a dark background with the transparent decals. So I soaked it in water, I removed the backing, and so now I'm taking this white stamping polish. So this is the Bam White from Maniology, and I'm just putting a little bit of that on my palette. And then I'm going to take my little liner brush. You can use a dotting tool, whatever you want to use, and you're going to very gently, wherever there's design on the decal, you're going to paint that with a white background. You don't want to drag your brush or dotting tool or whatever you use because the decals are super thin and super delicate. So I'm just kind of gently blotting on that white stamping polish wherever there's a design. It doesn't have to be exact, but wherever you can see a design. So I'm just kind of taking a look at it to see where I'm missing. And I noticed that I do have the flowers covered, and you can see it a lot clearer now, but I'm missing the leaves. It's kind of hard to tell because it's so transparent. So that's kind of why I flip it over and keep checking. You can also probably use a regular white nail lacquer, but I like using the stamping polish better because one, it's quick dry because I don't want to sit there for 20 minutes waiting for my polish to dry. And two, stamping polishes are super opaque, so I only need that one layer. So you can see here how you can see the design much clearer, how it's more opaque, and that's going to be what's going to help it stand out against the dark background. So once I've got that covered, you want to let your stamping polish completely dry. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to take a second stamper and start working on my gnome and do that as well. I've let the stamping polishes dry, but I need something tacky for the decals to adhere to because my nails are dry and now the Waterslide decals are dry. So I've got my sticky base coat from Maniology, so I'm going to apply a thin layer of that to my nail where I'm going to apply the decal. And it dries fairly quickly, so you don't want it to completely dry, but you want it to be kind of in that mid state where it's still tacky. And then once I get to that tacky point, I'm going to apply the decal using my stamper. And so I decided to put it in that lower corner, and I'll do the same as well on my thumb with the gnome. I'm going to use my dip top coat, but if I were to go straight in with activator on top of these decals, it would melt them. So I want to apply a layer of smudge-free top coat first. So this is an air dry polish from Maniology as well, and it's pretty quick drying. So I just want it to protect my decals so when I go in with activator, it doesn't melt them. I let that top coat dry, but just to give it a little more time, when I go in my activator, I'm going to do those nails with the smudge-free top coat last. So I'm going to go ahead and apply a thin layer of activator to my index, middle, pinky, and then I will go in on top of my smudge-free top coat. Now you don't want to drag your brush on top of the smudge-free top coat, so I kind of dab on the activator, but I want to make sure my nail is fully covered because your activator is what's going to be that's going to dry and harden your dip top coat. Once I finish applying my activator to all my nails, I wait a full 2 minutes for the activator to dry before I go in with my top coat. This is going to ensure I don't contaminate my dip top coat and I don't harden my brush, because that is the worst thing when you're mid-mani and you end up contaminating your brush. So I waited the full 2 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 to 3 really quick swipes on each nail, wiping my brush on a lint-free wipe in between each nail. And similar to the activator, I'm going to do my non-decal nails first, and then I will go in and do my decal nails last, because those are the last ones I applied activator to. Once I've got my first layer on, I'll be ready for my second layer, and you'll know it's ready because your nails will start looking a little dull, a little wrinkly. So you go in with your second layer, you apply your dip top coat, make sure you have everything covered, make sure you're capping your free edge, and then probably within like 2 to 3 minutes, your dip top coat is fully dry. always, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles, and I'm using my Scales of Mermaid Cuticle Balm. This is in the scent You Bring Me Home. After doing a mani, my nails and my skin takes a beating. They're just extra dry, so I always want to make sure that I am nourishing them again, and that helps promote nail growth. So here we are with the finished look. What do you think? I actually kind of matched my nail mat, which was not intentional, but I'm not mad because I love this nail mat. And how cute is this little gnome? I absolutely love my decals that I get from Pampered Pretties. They're one of the companies that I buy a bunch of decals from. So I love the way they pair with this mani. If you don't know, sunflowers are actually my favorite flower. So this mani just gives me like that whole sunflower theme, and I love it, and it makes me ready for fall, especially some fall weather. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this, and it also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.